All right, folks, welcome back. Another episode of Zurich Times. It's January 19th, 2019. So you have the 119 and you have the 219. So we go back and forth in time. And today is no different. We're going back to history and then we're going to come back to the future. So let me show you how the pieces are connected, and you will not believe it. But once again, if you needed more confirmation, there is more confirmation of the strange and mysterious thing known as the 9-3 Society. When you start paying attention to this code, to this numerology, to this number pattern, to this society, all types of strange things start happening. So this was the path that we took to arrive at this 9-3 observation. So watch as the pieces are connected and how the pieces are connected. So it's right here. It starts with Herodotus, Greek historian, known as the father of history. That's right. We're going back all the way to the 5th century BC. That's right, before Christ. 5th century, 484 to 425. So who is Herodotus and why did this suddenly come up in the timeline? Well, it was a strange thing. It was a strange thing, but watch and learn as how the pieces are connected. The father of history is trying to teach you a lesson. So we're going to go back to the 5th century. So when we go back to the 5th century, what we learn that there is a Greco-Persian wars happening. So what are the Greco-Persian wars? So there you go. The Greco-Persian wars were a series of conflict between the one empire, hard to pronounce these names, empire, and the Greek city-states that started in 499. So the point here is it's the characters that are in play here are once again, it's the Persians. It's the Persians, the Greeks, and we have Cyrus the Great. Now, who is Cyrus the Great? Cyrus the Great in symbolic form and as a metaphor, and literally also in this timeline in 2019, the year perhaps in which the third temple will be built. Did Cyrus the Great have anything to do with a temple? Did Cyrus the Great have anything to do with Persia? Did he have anything to do with the collapse of the Greek Empire? Do you see how the pieces are connected? Because we have Cyrus the Great is a symbolic representation of the person who is in power now. It's Donald Trump. That's right. We're back to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the Cyrus the Great that's featured in the coin. Are people not familiar with the coin? The coin that was minted by the people who were trying to rebuild the third temple. So do you see how the connection is going back from the 5th century, mirroring and mimicking what is happening right now? So we have Cyrus the Great, we have a reincarnation of Cyrus the Great, and the father of history, Herodotus, is trying to teach us a lesson. So let's see what lesson he is teaching us. So the lesson he's teaching us is that there is somebody called Croesus. Croesus was the king of Lydia, who, according to Herodotus, reigned for 14 years, from 560 until his defeat by the Persian king Cyrus the Great in 546 BC. So you have Cyrus the Great and Persia. Does that not make sense? People don't even know what Persia is. Persia is Iran. So you have Cyrus the Great, aka Trump, attacking Persia. So do you see from 546 BC to 2019, history is repeating itself. You see, history is repeating itself because the father of history is trying to teach you a lesson. So let's continue. But there is a book that he's written. It's called the Histories. See, you go to Herodotus and Histories and you come to here. So the Histories serves as a record of the ancient traditions, politics, geography, and clashes of various cultures that were known in Western Asia, North Africa, and Greece at that time. So at that time being the 5th century BC. So now the interesting thing that we found is here when we go to the book of Clio, we found something interesting. what we find is a very interesting quote, which you're going to which you are going to see. So now, at this point, you should have seen that short segment there with the presentation and the quote that came up. So here's the quote from the book of Clio. So this is Herodotus, his book, The Histories. It's a 9-part, it's broken up into 9 parts. It's broken up into 9 books. Interesting numerology there, isn't it? It begins right there. So interesting that it begins with the 9. And we have book number 1, and we go to this line here. So you have the answer from the Oracle of Delphi. There it is. The Oracle of Delphi at the Temple of Apollo, who served as the Oracle, commonly known as the Oracle of Delphi. Delphi, concerning whether Croesus should attack the Persians. You see, should Croesus attack the Persians, famous for its ambiguity. If you attack, a great empire will fall. If you attack, a great empire will fall. You see that? If you attack, a great empire will fall. So what should you do? Should you sit back and relax, or is there more to the code here? Well, there actually is more to the code here, because let me show you how the pieces are connected. Because if you remember, there is book, how many books do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books. And then what happens when you go to the 3? You go to the 9-3, you go to book 3, and you go to book 3, and you go to book 3, and you go to Talia. And then you come down here, and then you look up this sentence here. The conspiracy of the 7 to remove the Magi. So now we have the 7 of the 9, we have the 3 of the 9, and then we have the 9 of the 3. And then we have the Persians again, and then we have the Magi. So what has happened? We have gone from 5th century BC, involving magic, involving the use of magicians, involving the use of oracles, and if you translate that into modern lore, into the modern context, you have the use of magic and the use of technology. So you have the conspiracy of the 7 to remove the magi. So why is it that you're trying to remove a magi? And if people are not familiar with the magi is a reference to the Zoroastrians, but it's also a reference to magic, obviously. Magi, magicians, magic. That's the reference to the magi. So you have a revolt of the two magi in Persia and the death of Cambyses and the conspiracy of the seven to remove the magi. So do you see in ancient Persia, you have a revolt of the Magi. You have the Magi, the magicians, ruling the state, ruling the state through what? Through magic. And if you translate that to now, how is Cyrus the Great ruling in the current age in 2019? Using magic, using the time phone, using time travel, using the time phone hack, using all of the technology given to him by Tesla technology and magic. See? So now that we've come to the book three, three of nine, nine of three, the 9-3 society, and we're back to secret societies and the use of magic to control politicians or to control kings of yesteryears. So you have the revolt of the two magi, and you have the conspiracy of the seven of the nine, the seven of the three of the seven, the Borg. See the reference there? And then what happens when you keep digging a little bit more and you look for this? You look specifically for this sentence, the conspiracy of the seven to remove the magi. You know, what's that about? What you end up with, oddly enough, in Google Books, I would encourage you to go and look on your own, is you end up at the 9 of 30. You see, the 9 of 30. You see, so how many confirmations have we received? We've received 2 or 3 already, right? And now if you wanted the 3 to continue, there you have the reversal. You have the 3 of the 9 and the 9 of the 3, and the 3 and the 6 and the 9, the keys to the universe. Back to Tesla technology, you see? Back to hinting at the 3, the 6, and the 9, the Tesla technology, and then you have the 9 of the 3 in the Magi, and the conspiracy of the 7. And so we're back to Xerxes. Remember, we made a video about the 300 subscribers that are going to change everything. So you have the 300 and Xerxes. So now you have Xerxes was intent on the expedition, and he saw a third vision. Do you see a third vision? Do you see the numerology there? The third vision in his sleep. So dreams and visions. Has anybody been having dreams and visions? So in which the Magi interpreted, see, the magicians are now advising the king. Hint, hint. Is anybody noticing a similarity to what's happening in modern day politics right now? You have technology influenced politicians. Is that not happening in the modern day right now? So you have the magic and the magic of the Magi being interpreted, them interpreting to refer to the whole earth and to signify that all men should be his slaves. So Xerxes has a dream, has a vision, perhaps more of a nightmare, and he decides to invade. So this was the vision. Xerxes thought he was crowned with an olive bough, of which the shoot spread over the whole earth, and then the crown vanished from off his head where it was set. So the Magi interpreted it in this way, and immediately every single man of the Persians who has been assembled rode away on his province, and there used all zeal to fulfill the king's commands. Any similarities to modern day lore? Each desiring to receive the promised gifts. Thus it was that Xerxes mustered his army, searching out every part of the continent. So you have magicians, as in secret societies, ruling over politicians, ruling over the political elites, ruling over the military industrial complex. And now you have the military using technology from QAnon, and you have QAnon ruling the planet, in a sense, using the symbolism from the Economist cover of 2019. We're in 2019, January 19th, 2019. And you have the confirmation of the 20 there, 2019. And you have the confirmation of the 3. So you have the 3, the 3, the 3, and the 3, 9, and the 3, 6, and the 3, 9, and the 9, 3. So all the numerology and all the numbers are there to signify that there is something there to the code once you start looking. So now you have confirmation that in The past magic was used, and in the modern day version, we're back to the future in 2019. The same thing is happening. Magic is being used by a certain class of political elite. That's what's happening. There will be a part two to this, in which we talk about the origins of democracy and the origins of demonocracy. Those things are all related. Demonocracy being rules for and by demons, because that's what's happening right now. Demons and magicians ruling over the planet. That's what's happening on January 19th, 2019. So you have the 01 and you have the 0119 and you have the 0219. All symbolism for the end times, my friends. All symbolism and all numerology and all pieces of the puzzle that you have to follow in the end times. That's it for today. Transmission received. 10-4 over and out. This is Zurich Times.